Well, Ali, you and I were commentating on Real Madrid last weekend. They looked pretty good against Espanyol. So we looked ahead to the game against Barcelona. I said to you, is it a must win for Real Madrid, given the gap at the top of the table? You said yes. So I doubt your viewpoint has changed. How do Real Madrid beat Barcelona this weekend?
That's a really interesting question, and one that Carlo Ancelotti is trying to figure out himself. This is going to be a different matchup than what we saw in the first leg of Copa del Rey, where Barcelona went to the Santiago Bernabeu and were defensive, were conservative, were unlike anything that we have seen from Barcelona. They were pragmatic, they were efficient, effective, looking a little bit like Atletico Madrid, old school Atletico Madrid. And that is something that I don't think I would have said about Barcelona, but it was what they needed to do in that moment, given the absences that they had. In terms of what happens in this Clásico at the Camp Nou, Barcelona cannot play that way, will not play that way, and they have some players back. There's a possibility that perhaps maybe Pedri is also back in the picture. Lewandowski will be playing up top. You have the return, of course, of Ronald Araujo. So in terms of personnel, Barcelona, I think, will be far more proactive in the way that they carry their possession. That opens up some space for Real Madrid to do some of the things that they want to do in transition, which were not open to them when Barcelona had so many players behind the ball. I think it will be a different game as to how Real Madrid are able to win it. Well, I just mentioned it there. They have to get out in transition. When they don't, they become very predictable. And when they're predictable, they're easier to defend.
When Real Madrid beat Barcelona and beat them comfortably in the Clásico in La Liga back in October, they had a decent lead at the top of the table. That's evaporated. They're now 9 points behind. What's the biggest thing that's changed since that comprehensive win for Real Madrid in October to now?
Well, things have changed for both teams. Defensively, Barcelona have become a team that you wouldn't recognize from years past. It wasn't a priority for Barcelona to defend. It is a priority now. This is a team that has only allowed 8 goals this far into the season. I mean, 8 goals. That's unheard of. It's unheard of for any team, but certainly for Barcelona, whose priority has always been on the attack. So they changed their personality. They're winning games 1-0. And again, I joke about it, but there is this sort of this tinge, this little touch of Atletico Madrid in the way that Barcelona have been able to defend and hang on to games and 1-0 leads. They have been consistently good at doing that. As for Real Madrid, I just mentioned the word consistent for Barcelona. They have been everything but inconsistent in the way they play, inconsistent in the way they approach games. I don't think Real Madrid at times have been interested in some of these games against mid-table opposition or lower-table opposition. It's almost as if they show up to the game and it takes something negative to happen for them to wake up and then try to do something. And sometimes they've been able to come back and win those games, and other times they haven't. That lack of consistency in terms of the approach of Real Madrid has been very obvious. And then I think as well, there's been a drop-off in performance, individual performances across the board for Real Madrid. You put all of that together, you put Barcelona defending better, you put Real Madrid not playing as well. This is why we have seen such a shift.
One thing that Real Madrid's going to have to do at Camp Nou is to come flying out the blocks, because we saw against Espanyol, first 15 minutes, slow starters. We've seen that recently, slow starters. But they play against a side who would probably sign up for a draw right now, given the 9-point lead at the start of the season. Do you think there's anything in Barcelona's mind that they may be a little bit more cautious than normal, given what's at stake, and a draw would probably be a good result? Or does that totally go against Barca's DNA?
Well, I think it depends how the game progresses and how the game goes. If you're 10 minutes from the end and the game is 1-1, it's 2-2, and it's become a little stretch, if you're Barcelona and Xavi, you say, you know what? We're going to put numbers behind the ball right now. We'll take this result. But they won't start the game thinking about a draw. If you're Barcelona, you're at home, there is a certain responsibility to your own history, and the fact that this is a Clásico, an intensity and urgency to play well and do so from the very beginning. So I think Barcelona will be proactive with their possession. They will take their lines forward. That would open up some spaces for Real Madrid for transition for Vinicius Jr. so that he can get in behind. And then we go back to that duel between Vini Jr. and Ronald Araujo. And if Ronald Araujo starts, as we have seen in the past against Real Madrid, as in that right back position, how does that matchup play out? And does Vinicius Jr. go wander to the right-hand side to try to find a different sort of matchup? There's a lot of questions that Ancelotti will have to answer, and the players will have to answer themselves. But the responsibility is on Real Madrid to try to win the game. So at some point, they're going to have to take chances forward. And I think it is, when we reach that point, is when Xavi's going to have to make a decision. Okay, do we take advantage of the spaces that Real Madrid are leaving open, or are we comfortable with the 9-point lead and keep it as such? I think there's an opportunity here for Barcelona to deliver the death blow, right? If they beat Real Madrid, this is over, turn the lights off, warm up the bus, it's time to go home. But it's a balance. It's a give and take. You got to see how the game is going. You got to feel how the game is going. And as such, as a manager, then you have to make those adjustments.
Finally, word reaches me that the Alejandro Moreno crystal ball has been in for a service. It's sparkling. It's brand new. It's working perfectly. So it's going to tell us what's going to happen. What's your prediction for the Clásico this weekend?
I'm going to say that it's going to be more of the same from Barcelona. They're not nearly as explosive as you think that the player personnel that is available to them would be. This team scores a goal, and that seems to be enough. So why not? Why not continue to ride the 1-0 with Barcelona? 1-0 at home, La Liga is over.
Full coverage of this weekend's Clásico right here, ESPN FC.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.